name is Shay, aka the Salty Stitcher here on YouTube, and this is my 10th video. I have a tattoo appointment tomorrow, which is Saturday, and so I'm filming this a day earlier than I normally would and at night. So if I'm a little raspy and gross, I also had COVID earlier this week, fun fact. So that's lots of fun. Working in a hospital means that I've gotten COVID, I've had COVID 15 times, I think, at this point, maybe not that many. But this is this is a Stitchy First video, and we were talking about kind of the end of my Mill Hill kit experience. It's not all the way done. As you can see, I'm not going to put a top down because I'll be showing you this in just a second. But I'm getting a lot of that beading done. I'm pretty close. I only have a couple colors left. I gotta I'm up here finishing up this curtain right here, and then I have kind of architectural ones. I think that are a blue, perhaps. I'm assuming are blue. Oh, you can't really see those. That's okay. I'm not quite sure. I'd have to look. I'm thinking they are, though. But yeah, so this is me kind of explaining how this went. I'll give kind of some pointers, and then I'm planning on doing a bit of a voiceover, so we'll see if that works. This is my second video about my Mill Hill kit. This is Wanda's Wands by Mill Hill Beads. The first video I did about it was just kind of unpacking it. I didn't have as much done on it as I wanted to, so wasn't able to get to the beading at that point. Part of the reason why I did this Mill Hill kit is because of two SALs. There's a Mountain Out of a Mill Hill SAL, hosted by Beck Stitches Everything, and then there's the Halloween is a Lifestyle SAL. Halloween is a lifestyle. Halloween is a lifestyle SAL hosted by Crow Stitcher and Beck Stitches Everything. So I did that partially to join in on those SALs. The Mill Hill SAL is already done. I think it ended a couple days ago. The Halloween Lifestyle SAL, Halloween is a Lifestyle SAL, is ongoing because Halloween is a lifestyle, so it's never going to end. Is how I think Andy, the Crow Stitcher, had explained it in their the video they talked about it in, or YouTube post, Instagram post, one of those, right? So the last episode I did, I had most of the cross stitching done, but not all of it. I also hadn't worked with the Krennic yet either, so I'll talk a little bit about the Krennic as well today. Is actually glow in the dark. If I can get a picture of it actually glowing in the dark, I'll put it in here somewhere. But I just dropped it on the floor, and it's kind of dark in my office. And because I dropped it on the floor, I could actually see that it was glowing in the dark. And it's pretty strong, so I was pretty excited. Beading hasn't been as bad as I thought it would. I also have not had to break out a hoop, right? I thought I would have to. I thought I'd have to find some way to kind of hoop this up so I could do it. But I for those of you who this may be your first video or you've never heard me say it, I stitch in hand. I stitch in the hand with the sewing method more often than I don't, in meaning that I've not pulled out a hoop in years at this point. Hoops hurt my hands now. It's not even that I don't like them. They hurt my hands now, ironically enough, because when I first started doing it in hand, that hurt my hands. But I thought I might have to find a way to put this itsy bitsy piece of fabric in a hoop, and I haven't. I've been doing it in hand. It's been fine. I can kind of roll like this if I need to kind of keep it taut a little bit, or to keep it stable. But it's also small enough that I can probably not worry about it. The reason why I'm mentioning this is because when I talked about my Mirabilia last, because that's going to have quite a bit of beading, and it's quite a bit bigger. It's a fat quarter, I think, as opposed to this 7-inch square or something like that. My Mirabilia is probably going to need to be on a hoop in order for me to actually bead it. But given that this experience has actually gone pretty pleasant, I may not. I may try to bead it in hand and see how it goes. We'll get to that point when we get to it, because it won't be anytime soon. Because I don't really like hoops anymore. They hurt my hands. I'm a wimp. I'm a wimp who has a gazillion tattoos, whose tattoo artists would very much disagree with me when I say I'm a wimp. That's the funny part. Yeah, so things about this kit that I've not enjoyed. The only thing about this kit that I have not enjoyed are the needles. I did not like the tapestry needle that they sent in with it. It's massive. I think I have one here. I ended up accidentally bending it, I think. I don't know if you can see how bent it is. You can see it a little bit. Yeah, I bent it. I don't remember what I was doing, but I bent it. But it's just massive, like tapestry needle. It's probably like a size, I don't know. I'm not good at gauging needle sizes, but it's large. It's larger than I normally use, considering that I normally, like this is the Herbalist SAL I finally get started. I normally use a petite. This is a Colonial Petite, probably like a 24 or 26. So we can kind of see. I don't know if you can even tell how small these are, or how small this is comparatively. This is so awkward. Why am I doing it this way? Yeah, there you go. So that's a Colonial Petite, and then this is the Mill Hill, like the, I don't know what brand it was. I don't remember if it said there's a brand, but this is the one that came with the Mill Hill kit. Didn't like that, and I also really don't like this beading needle. This beading needle is like a piece of hard work, to tell you the truth. This is got the itziest, bitsiest little eye in the face of the planet. So tiny. It's impossible to thread. Because I sew in hand, I oftentimes, accidentally unthread my needle all the time. And getting it rethreaded when I'm working with it, like with a working thread, is just impossible. The only way that I found that it's easy to thread this needle is if I don't know if there's a name for this technique, but where you take, this is how I thread needles anyways, generally, but when you take a piece of thread, and then you find the eye, and you just kind of rub the eye back and forth, like this, until it kind of pops in. It's I've shown it in a video, I think, before. That's the only way that I've gotten that needle threaded easily, and even that is not easily. Using my little handy dandy skull. I think Scroll is a character or type of character in Marvel. Anyways, like a race of characters in Marvels. I think it's Marvel. Yeah, they're like an evil alien race. Anyways, skull needle minder. You didn't need to know any of that. That's okay. My little skull needle minder has shredded thread trying to get it out of that into that needle eye. So that's the only thing I've not liked about this kit. Everything else has been fine. Things about this kit. So it came with 2 little bags of beads, and so I put them in these little beaded container things, beading containers that I found on 123 Stitch for like $10. There's like 4 or 5 of them in a case. I can't remember. So I just been putting them in here. So that's where I keep them, so I can keep them separate, because again, there's like 2 bags, and how you decide, like, you can figure out what bag your needle is, or your bead is, by this little asterisk in the bead list. Then I bought a tacky bob. I also bought this on 123 Stitch. The only thing is it's kind of a pain in the butt to open with nails. But this is my little tacky bob. All my beads stay on in there. They don't really fall out. I've not had any issues. It's a little linty just because I've been using it. The good news about this is when I'm done, I close it, and I can stick it on my cross stitch cart until I need it, until I'm ready to start this project again, or stick it in the project bag, which is where it's been the past week. That's been super helpful. I think I got the idea to buy one of these from Teresa Little Stitcher, and one thing that Teresa Little Stitcher also said was that some petite needles can be used as beading needles because the eyes are small enough. I have not had that experience, but I just may not be using the same needles that she had. If you heard that, that's weird. I don't know if you can hear notifications on my computer, but anyways, sorry, I got distracted by that. So Teresa Little Stitcher mentioned this in one of her beading tutorials, the tacky bob, or tacky bill, tacky bob, whatever it's called. She also mentioned that you could use small, you could use, no, that's my beading needle. Not that one. Like petite needles for it, and I've not found that to be true. If I try, as I can. Like some of the bigger beads in this kit you could do easy, right? Like that will work just fine. I'm pretty sure we could get that in, get that out pretty easy. Yeah, but not all the beads are the same size. So for instance, this petite one, come on now. Like for instance, you might be able to see the difference. Like these little blue ones are petites, and then these red ones, let's see, this grew, let's do this. Okay, there we go. Good news about having nails as a stitcher is it makes things a little bit easier. So you can see even from this angle how different the size is. So this green one is a normal size seed bead, and then this is a petite seed bead. And so I can get the green one on this needle easy peasy, right? Easy peasy, not a big deal. It will come off. Might need to push it, but it's not that big a deal. This one, some of them might go past the eye, and some of them are definitely not going to. Like I don't even know if this one that I have on my needle right now will go past the eye. Yeah, it's not going to. So kind of have to use the beading needle. I don't think I bought any other beading needles. I might have shoulda. I didn't think about it, but the only thing about this kit that I've not liked is the needles. Both the tapestry needle and the beading needle have not been my favorite. Aside from that, everything else has gone pretty good. Easy to stitch. The patterns are kind of weird. I'm not going to show you a pattern. You can kind of see the corner of it. Patterns are kind of weird just because they are not. It would be easier if there was like a beading pattern, or maybe not even a beading pattern. Beading patterns aren't probably all that necessary, but it'd be easier if there was like a cross stitch and beading pattern, and then like a back stitch pattern, right? That might be a bit easier. Beck Stitches Everything mentioned in her most recent floss tube about the hedgehog pattern that she did, which is adorable, by the way, super cute. She said it was a pain in the butt to stitch because like you couldn't read the stitching, like the cross stitches underneath all of the back stitching, right? Because it's so heavily back stitched. And so that might be something that would be helpful. It's the only thing is the pattern's not the easiest to read, but I have it on GoodNotes. I can blow it up and make it smaller, and it's usually pretty easy to do from there. Yeah, I'm going to kind of transition us over into a little overhead view, and I'm going to do hopefully a voiceover. So my first voiceover, I can't actually. There you go. I have to do it that way because I have bad joints. Hopefully my first voiceover, and it will work because I've got some video of me just stitching, and then I'm also going to have some video of me like slowing it down enough so you can see what hole I'm going into, what hole I'm going out, and kind of how I'm doing that. So pretty simple, not a big deal. Some of these, the petite beads tend to be stitched on a full cross so that you can have them vertical, whereas the bigger seed beads tend to be on a half cross stitch, and that way they're kind of lying diagonally. And you'll see that in just a second. So, all right, so let's see how this works. I've kind of zoomed in as much as I can. The camera angle is not my best work, but this way you can see those stitches a little bit better, and hopefully you can see kind of where I'm coming in at, like where I'm starting a stitch at and where I'm ending a stitch at. So generally speaking, I try to do things, and this is just kind of normal for me anyways, like I don't tend to do a lot of diagonally, like stitching one and then going up diagonally or going down diagonally. I'm going to try to do it vertically or horizontally, right? So in this case, I'm stitching in a horizontal line. I'm going from left to right, and so what I've been doing, and what I've found is a bit more helpful, is that I have been starting the stitch, for instance in this case, in the left-hand corner, the upper left-hand corner, and ending the stitch in the bottom right-hand corner. Again, these are those bigger beads that are diagonal, that are laying diagonally, so they're on a half stitch, a half cross stitch. And so I'm traveling left to right, so I'm going to start in the right top hand corner, and then I'm going to end in the left bottom hand corner. I don't know if that makes any sense, but hopefully you can see it too. I find that this just helps kind of create a bit more tension with that thread, and so it doesn't seem to be as wiggly. Those stitches I don't think are going to be as prone to getting saggy or are kind of falling out of shape, and it just seems to keep them in place the best way. When it comes to stitches that are like these petite beads, which I don't think there are any that you can see kind of were in this view, but in those I don't tend to have as much of a I just stitch normally is what I'm saying, I guess. I don't necessarily have a specific way that I'm learning how to do that because I haven't found that that's necessary for those, because they're fairly secure because they're on a full stitch, a full cross stitch. So pick up a bead. This is another point in time where having long nails and cross stitching is helpful. As you can see, they're excellent bead picker-uppers. Start in the top right and in the bottom left. And because I stitch in hand, I'm going to be ending a stitch and then starting the next stitch in the same motion if I can. Yep. The instructions say that you should anchor kind of every 4 stitches. I haven't been doing that. I did it in the tree that you can actually see above my fingernail. That has a lot more kind of anchoring stitches. But to be honest, this is so straight that I think the tension of kind of doing it that way, kind of doubling back on my stitches, is going to be helpful. It's in essence anchoring itself all by itself. I've just found that has been the most helpful. I was kind of thinking earlier about things that could make this experience easier, and the only thing I can think of, and maybe the makers of Tacky Bob will hear me and will give me a chance to influence a future product. But if this Tacky Bob was in some way wearable, like a ring or a like a bracelet or something, kind of like one of those old school bracelet pin cushions, it would be so much easier. So I wouldn't have to keep like stopping and going. I could like literally, if it was a ring, I could put it on my thumb and I could just go. God, like the ease of motion and the efficiency of motion would be the stuff of my dreams. It honestly would at this point, because I'm a nerd. But pick it up, complete the stitch. It's really not a hard concept, right? The worst part of it is just making sure that you're in the right space and that you're anchoring that stitch enough that it's not going to be like wiggly. And then the other part of this is that this fabric now is very stiff because of all the stitching and all the back stitching and then all the other beads. It's been, this fabric is, like the stitched portion of this fabric is quite stiff. But yeah, that's about it. I'm going to put a little montage at the end, just kind of me going in case anyone needs it, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys!